Peugeot has gone from strength to strength in Europe off the back of a refreshed SUV lineup and tech and style-focused new generation cars like the 508 you're looking at here. But in Australia, you'd hardly know, with French cars well and truly in the niche basket. Plus, with Australian consumers increasingly shunning sedans and wagons, the 508 really has its work cut out for it. Before we find out if the 508's looks match its drive experience, remember you can check out the full detailed review on carsguide.com.au, and remember to like and subscribe to keep up to date with our latest videos. One thing you've probably figured out with your eyes already is that the 508 is a seriously good-looking machine. I could spend hours poring over the details in its angular, swoopy design, packed full of subtle design touches. But suffice to say, it sits with segment design leaders like Volvo and Mazda. What's more, its coupe roofline and muscular front and rear angles are backed by refreshed underpinnings. It's both lower and lighter than its predecessor. The interior design, which Peugeot refers to as the i-cockpit, continues the bold theme. It offers an almost concept car style look, a totally different take on a tired formula. But it's not without its flaws. Now at just under 6 foot, I'm the perfect height for this setup. The wheel feels nice and low, it's fast under hand, this raised console trimmed in nice leather is truly premium, but if you're any shorter than me, well, suddenly I can't see the dash anymore. And if you're any taller than me, well, suddenly I'm not feeling like it's as sporty. The interior is not only oozing with slick design, but it also offers today's expected multimedia. The 508 gets this massive 10-inch multimedia touchscreen with Peugeot's minimalist user interface. It also gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity backed by a 10-speaker audio system, with our only complaint being that the screen is also the only way to interact with the dual-zone climate controls. A set of physical dials is always easier. Lending to its larger dimensions, the 508 also offers far more cabin storage than its 308 hatch sibling, and that's despite the minimalist approach to cabin design. Now the rear seat trim is good back here, just like it is up front. And as you can see, it was a little tricky to get in there with the roofline drooping down the way it is. Legroom isn't stellar, but it is good. And headroom, despite that roofline, is good too. Now back here, you do also get rear air vents and USB ports as an added bonus. This is all looking very premium. So I bet you're wondering how much it all costs. On that front, Peugeot has made it easy. There's just one variant of the 508, the GT, and it's offered in either a Sportback or as a wagon with a $2,000 premium. You'll be happy to know that all of that fancy stuff in the cabin, as well as those LED light fittings, are all standard too, with the only options offered in the form of premium paint and a panoramic sunroof. It's not a budget offering then, but Peugeot has often trod the ground between affordable and premium in its history in Australia. Rivals come in the form of the top-spec Mazda 6 Atenza sedan or wagon, Volkswagen Arteon, and Skoda Octavia. The choice of two body styles means a practical boot either way. Here in the Sportback, it offers almost mid-size SUV levels of space, where over here in the wagon, where there's 50 litres of extra room, it's more room than most people will realistically need. One spec also means just one engine, a 1.6 litre turbo petrol which punches above its weight on the power front. The 508 is front-wheel drive only, via a new 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission. The other big thing about the 508 is its drive modes. Now in a lot of cars, you'll get a sport mode that just holds you in gear or isn't really worth pressing. But in the 508 you get 5 distinct modes. You've got manual, which lets you override the gear settings. You've got sport. Now sport actually does something. You've got adaptive dampers in the 508 and sport firms it up. You can really feel the texture of the road. The steering stiffens up. The engine response is enhanced. It's it's a genuinely good sport mode. It does hold those gears a little bit longer, so you might not want to drive it around every day in that mode. You use more fuel, and it does kind of get a little annoying when it won't just shift down when you want it to, or when you're milling around traffic. But for that, you've got comfort mode. Now, comfort mode softens up those dampers. It makes it a bit more undulating. Engine response is dampened a bit, but most importantly, the steering is lighter. It's much more easy to just turn it around those tight corners, and it's a brilliant adjustment. I like how each of those modes are so distinct. You also get an eco mode, which dampens the engine response further, gets changing gears more easily. The 8-speed is sleek. In any mode, it feels great. It feels exactly how you need it to. One of the things I like the most about it is even when you're using the paddle shifters, it's instantaneous. There's none of that second lag delay. It's actually really worth shifting it into that sport mode for that. And the suspension's not too brutal. You're riding on 18-inch wheels, which is sensible. You know, they're not 19s or 20s. You might feel too much of the road. It might be too rough if you had bigger wheels, but no, it's perfect. For a B road like this, sport mode any day, around the city, comfort mode, you're set. There's 5 modes, but there's 2 that are spot on. Overall, I mean, it really lives up to its sporty look. And the engine, it's not overly powerful. It's still the 1.6 turbo 4-cylinder. And the power figures are something you would have expected out of a V6 a few years ago. But in this car, even though it's not crazy, you can still, it's still enough to spin the wheels and have it scrabbling about. Yeah, it's enough. I don't feel like I need a bigger engine in this car. Is there space for one? Maybe. But it's not underpowered, and that's the important thing.
The 508 is rated to consume 6.3 litres per 100 kilometres, and with the 308 we tested recently, you can expect to hit a litre or 2 over that, especially with the extra weight, and if you enjoy the drive as much as we are. It has to be noted that the 508 is just the second vehicle in Australia, after the 308 hatch, to be fitted with a petrol particulate filter. Peugeot says it was able to make its system compatible with Australia's high sulphur content fuel, but this does mean it will require at least mid-grade 95 octane rated fuel. Finally, safety. The 508 already wears a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. That's thanks to the standard fitment of auto emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, high beam assist, traffic sign recognition, and adaptive cruise control.
The 508 draws you in with its stunning design, but under the surface there's a well-equipped and practical car. While it might not be destined for mass popularity in Australia, it's still a compelling semi-premium option that has you wondering, do I really need an SUV?